Hello, 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 everyone, and welcome to a new episode of NGamers Checkpoint. We are here. We have missed 1 week because I was unavailable, sadly, but this means that we got so much news to talk about this week. It's going to be pretty crazy, and we're going to see how fast we can go. But it might be more than an hour. But very exciting stuff. It's probably the most exciting week we have so far in NGamers Checkpoint. And I hope you're here to hear about the latest news. With me, I've got some awesome people, some very knowledgeable Netflix games hosts. And first, we'll start with NG. How are you doing, my friend?
Hello guys, how are we all doing? I'm doing good. NGX, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you so much. And we've got Sidlon. How are you doing, my friend?
It's a good day. Good day to talk about some games.
Oh yeah, it's always a good day, and even when you don't feel good or you want to change your mind, talking about game is just the perfect way to change your mind. So, speaking of games, Sidlon, what have you been playing this week?
Yeah, I gave Shovel Knight Pocket a bit of a chance. Honestly, I was trying some of the game called Endling that went on sale that had gotten Apple's award-winning prize for design. So Endling is a nice game about a fox where you get to run around the forest and take care of your kids, which honestly distracted me a little bit from Netflix side of things, but
oh yeah, and I mean we don't need to talk just about Netflix games for what we've been playing, right? Like it can be anything, of course. Like we're variety players, so of course we'll get to play some other stuff. That's interesting. How about you, NG? What have you been playing this week?
Well, I've only really been playing two games. One of them is Cats. I think it's called Cats and Soup. It's the Netflix game one where obviously you basically build a little like factory where you're making obviously your cat, and obviously you're making all the soup and whatnot. And
good choice.
The other one I've been playing is technically a Netflix game because it's based on Netflix IP, and that's Narcos Rise of the Cartels, which I've been playing on my Steam Deck.
Ooh.
What was that one called again?
Narcos Rise of the Cartels, published by Curve Digital.
Oh yeah,
good one.
No, absolutely.
Yeah. So Netflix, if you want to release that on Netflix games as well, I should get the price back. We've greatly appreciate it, please.
Yeah, definitely. See, like free advertisement from us, so definitely looking forward if they can do that. I've been playing, a lot of like games where you have dailies. So I've been playing Cats and Soup, Dungeon Dwarves, Dungeon Boss Respawn. We've been playing Stranger Things, Puzzle Tales, Transformers, Forged to Fight, and then on stream I've also been playing Shovel Knight Pocket. I'm having a blank, but Pocket something.
Pocket Dungeon.
Pocket Dungeon. There you go. Yeah, so a bunch of games. So yeah, I'm stuck in these dailies, and I'll need to get out of there at some point. But I've been enjoying myself with all these, progressing through all of these games, and it's been fun. So guys, what do you think of getting inside the news now?
Yeah,
let's dive in.
I love your enthusiasm. All right, let's go. So the first thing I'd like to talk about is, let me make sure I go on the right screen. There you go. So as I mentioned, it's been 2 weeks since we haven't been having a show, and we've got Shovel Knight Pocket Dungeon, which released last week on Tuesday. It was advertised, we knew it was coming out, and we were pretty excited. Shovel Knight Pocket Dungeon is a game that came out on the Nintendo Switch and other platforms, but they waited to release it on the mobile as soon as they got a new DLC in, which is, pretty exciting. So Sidlon mentioned that he played it. What's your thought on the game?
Yeah, and it was definitely a bit of a shock for me. I've never played the original Shovel Knight. But I had played a bit of Shovel Knight Dig, which was the spin-off on Apple Arcade. That's largely diving down, but it's action-oriented like the original game. But this was like just a very different twist. I wasn't quite ready for the interesting blend between turn-based action and real-time, because it's a little bit like Tetris, because the things are falling in a second at a time. You've got a little bit of time to put some strategy into how do you go about clearing out the obstacles and without losing all of your health. I don't know. It's pretty interesting, and I need to spend some more time with it for sure. How about you?
Yeah, no, I've been playing it. What I like about it is just the fast pace. I was not expecting that. It's like really a roguelike type of game, right? And I'm really into these type of games where it's fast. You don't have to wait for anything. And yeah, this is definitely up my alley, and I'll definitely keep playing it. And what about you, NG? Did you get a chance to play it, or like, what's your thought on this
Yeah. I did a little bit of playthrough for my channel. Basically, first of all, I'll say Sidlon, you're a fake gamer. How could you not play Shovel Knight? It's the best game ever. But I digress. I digress.
Yeah,
Where's the car?
it's on the to-do list. I definitely need to dig it up.
As long as it's on the list. But basically, with this game, I played it for a little bit, and I realized how bad I am at these sort of games because there's missions obviously where you have like creatures coming up towards you, and you've got to slide to like attack and whatnot. And I was just running up trying to hit everyone at the same time. I died like 5 times.
Yeah.
So Netflix, if you're gonna get some more like action games instead of puzzle games, that'd be appreciated because I'm terrible at puzzle games.
And they definitely force you to learn how to use those health kits.
Oh my
gosh! You
gosh.
have to balance out attack a few things, and then grab some health. Attack a few more, grab some health.
Yeah.
There's a rhythm to it that's kind of neat.
Like literally, you attack anything in this game, you lose health, and it's like what?
I know it's so hard to calculate.
It's a really weird concept to me. It's like if you play like a beat 'em up, like you're beating that person up, and then it's just suddenly like, or if you stop hitting the button and they hit you back and you lose health, right?
Yeah.
But like most games, you shoot first or like you punch first and whatnot, and you don't lose health until they hit you back afterwards. But with this game, it's like you lose health as soon as you hit the creature.
Yeah, they really force you to think about where you're going to attack. Ideally, something that isn't a big group of things at the same time, so you can just hit it a couple times and take out the whole group at once. But yeah, it's a unique set of strategies to it.
Yes, indeed.
It's really hard to not make mistake. I'm going to tell you that, but yeah, I've been enjoying it. Just as a first impression, I do recommend it to people to give it a try. I see Brandon in the chat. He's asking, when is it NGamers Exploding Kittens Community Night? So we've reached 100 members inside the Netflix Gamers Discord channel, and for that we are organizing a Exploding Kittens Community Night. So keep a lookout for that. I didn't get a chance to organize it too much yet, but it'll be happening soon. So definitely keep that in mind. But other than that, I think one of the most exciting news today is Netflix Games has actually released a very nice video showing some dates that's been released and some new games. So here, I'm going to play the trailer, but it's called Celebrate Summer Games. And what it does, it just shows us some games that are already out. It's just promoting all the games of Netflix, and it's a really nice trailer. But they're also showing some new games. For example, Cut the Road Daily. This was the first time we heard about it during this trailer. And we got a date. We got Paper Trail. We already know about this one, but it's coming soon, which we'll talk a little bit later. Again, with Oxenfree, we already knew about the July, but still very exciting that it's still coming. And then they advertised the first game also, in case you'd like to play it. Then we knew about Queen's Gambit, but there's a date, the July 25th. This is not something that we knew. So very soon, and very exciting. Me and NG is going to have a rival chess fight soon. Then Lego Legacy, we kind of knew about it like a few days before because they announced it on Facebook. But it's nice to see it confirmed by Netflix. So guys, let's go ahead and talk about them one by one. I just wanted to show the trailer first, but they also released a nice blog here. The first thing I'd like to talk about is they also reconfirmed that Too Hot to Handle, the sequel, will be coming soon. So they're calling it Too Hot to Handle 2, and I think it's the first time that they're calling it that. So maybe that's the name that they'll be giving it. But looks like it's still aiming at launching in 2023. Is that the type of game that you guys are interested in?
It's not really my cup of tea, but clearly, based on the subreddit for the Too Hot to Handle game, there's a good crowd built around that. There's a lot of people who like reality shows, especially ones with dating shows, and it seems like they've hit a nerve with that first game, and they have to get a sequel out so soon. And,
Yeah. It's
See,
gonna. Oh, go ahead, NG.
yeah, so I was gonna say with it, I'm not a huge fan of dating games. You know, if I wanted to play that in real life, I just go on Tinder. But
Yeah.
basically, I got banned on there by the way. But basically, what I would do is I've got to play it for the bands because I put a thing on my Twitter where I was like, hey, you know, do you guys want me to do whatever game here? It was Hello Kitty Oxenfree or Tilt to Handle. People vote for Tilt to Handle, so I'm like, oh, brilliant! I got to. Let's hope I can keep it PG. With
I'm
these
not
sort
sure
of
if that's
games,
gonna happen, but
yeah, I don't think so. Well, yeah, I don't think with my family friendly image.
Yeah, the I like it though. Like I think that they're releasing it so soon because they're releasing like seasons of the game, right? Like so now they're on season 2 of the game, and we're gonna see new people and to fall in love with it and all of that. So I like the concept.
That and dating games are quite easy to make when you think about it. You can just take the ass. You can just basically take the whole like gameplay loop of the original game and take all the whole game basically. Just swap a few assets around and you're done basically.
Yeah, they must have like some kind of like setup already in place for any new games for sure.
I will say though that yep.
I was just going to say that there's a popular game called Episode that has been going on for a long time that is really similar to this, and it seems like there's a kind of game engine that really lets you play out relationship stories. And the first one that I ever saw like this was actually there was a Degrassi the game that let you play a game just like this with characters deciding who do you want to date, how do you want to dress up for the party as Degrassi characters, which I have to admit I've watched way too much of as an adult.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I would say like with this new Tilt Handle game, I'm hoping it's got a more diverse like roster this time. Like you got a few more characters with disabilities in there. Just saying like, you know, it just because obviously disabilities have a lot of stigma around them. So like it'd be nice to have like say a character in a wheelchair or a character on crutches. It just makes it seem like, hey, you know, we are like appealing to a wide range of people from any background or minority. You can all play this game and you can all feel represented by this game as well.
I love that idea. Yeah, minority would be a good implementation of the game, and I think it would bring a lot more people to be interested, you know, in the game. So hopefully they'll bring some of these accessibility.
Yeah, it'd be really cool.
So Oxenfree 2, I think we're gonna skip it because we kind of like already know about it. We know that it's exciting. It's the first day one release coming from the studio owned by Netflix. But definitely we're gonna talk more about it when it comes out. Queen's Gambit. Oh yeah.
I feel like I was going to say I feel like everyone who's obviously covered Netflix games has made at least 10 videos on Oxenfree 2. Like it's not coming out for like another month. I think it's like a month, a few days, just under a month now. So hopefully they give us some information about it soon, so we can like get excited as the platforms it's launching on. Because obviously we know it's coming Netflix games day one, but it also feels sort of nice like we get a little bit more hints of like what the story is, from the new elements they've added over the previous game, and why play this over the first game.
Mm-hmm. And it's
definitely nice it's nice having a date locked down so that anybody who hasn't played Oxenfree, the first one, really should go enjoy it because it's a great little adventure story.
Yeah.
And it's good to play through, and then you'll be all prepped and ready for July 12th.
And it's nice because they did some new updates that, you know, it shows a little that connects with the story of the new one. So it's definitely worth a few playthrough at least to understand the whole story. I find it nice that they have also put in that it's coming on Switch, PlayStation, so they're advertising it, on every platform, and that makes sense because they do want to, monetize on all. Like they're all making money on all of these platforms, so it makes sense to me.
I feel personally attacked then.
Oh yeah, right. Not just Netflix. I'm out. I'm boycotting it.
It's because I'm primarily an Xbox gamer, so I'm like, I feel attacked there because like the one platform was not coming to
Oh, which one?
Xbox.
Oh, you're right. Look at that. It's not coming on Xbox.
I hadn't noticed that. Wow.
Yeah.
Is there something that does Netflix not like Microsoft now?
I reckon, but basically they had an advertising partnership, from what I understand, and from what I've heard, Netflix wants to bring all tech in house now because they're not happy with Microsoft taking a cut of the ad sales on Netflix's content or something. And I'm like, okay. But then Oxenfree 1 did come to Xbox One later than it did to PS4, so I think that might have something to do with it as well.
Interesting.
Like came a year later to the console after the PS4, so maybe we'll wait a year.
I wonder if we'll hear about it later and then, surprise, it's on Game Pass. You never know because this is what Xbox does once in a while. So
I doubt Netflix would do that. If they did that, it'd be very counterintuitive. Because then obviously you've already got it on Netflix, so they want you to pay for Netflix if you want to have it on a subscription. But then if they put it on Game Pass as well, it's like, well, we've just given them our golden goose.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm a little curious if there will be any rules where will Netflix allow a game in Netflix games to also be on Game Pass? Because Apple Arcade explicitly doesn't let the game be on Game Pass or any other subscription service.
Okay.
So I'm curious if Netflix has any rules like that, and maybe Microsoft would want it to be Game Pass compatible.
Yeah, I know that Oxenfree 1 was on Game Pass a couple of years ago. So there was another game made by Night School called After Party, which is available on Steam but not on Netflix games, unfortunately. And besides those two, I don't think any other game from inside Netflix, any of the studios Netflix owns, was ever on Game Pass due to most of them being mobile games. But obviously, I've never seen a Spry Fox game on Game Pass, but I have seen Night School's games on Game Pass in the past. But that's before they were Netflix owned, so that could be why.
Only time will tell, right? Maybe we'll hear about it at some point. All right, so the next game we have here is Queen's Gambit. They advertised it in the Geek Week last year, from what I recall. But this year, they announced the date. So July 25th, in about a month from now, we'll be receiving the Queen's Gambit Chess, which is a chess game. But there's a lot to it. I don't know if there's an adventure mode or something, but there's lessons, puzzles, and it looks pretty fun. I always wanted to have a chess game with more to do than just playing chess. So and keep a lookout, guys, because me and NG will be having a live battle between each other and playing Gambit's chess. So I'm looking forward to that, NG.
I'm hoping we can get it arranged for July 28th, because July 28th is actually the day I turned 20, so it'll be 20th anniversary of my existence. We're playing chess against NGX and see who is better, the guy who has some knowledge of chess, or the guy who's just picked up the game and hoping he could just double tap and win.
Yeah.
It'll be a nice birthday for you.
It's not fair because I'll have to let you win because it's your birthday. But
don't worry, that's never stopped anyone in the past.
Yeah. So NG challenged me, and then I told him that I was in the provincial championship at high school, and then I scared him. No, just kidding. But no, I'm looking forward to it. It's been a while. I'm very rusty, so it's probably going to be very tight. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, Sidlon, are you excited for Queen's Gambit?
For sure. And one thing that I really liked, not long after Queen's Gambit came out as a show, Netflix must have been involved in this too back then. But the chess.com app is the most popular mobile chess game.
Yes.
And it came out with a Beth Harmon AI version that would let you play against Beth at different ages.
Cool.
So I might be able to beat a 7-year-old Beth, but definitely not the 18-year-old.
Oh my gosh. Oh, maybe we'll have to
And
get better.
I'm hoping they kind of incorporate those kind of aspects into it. Hopefully, in addition to a chess adventure, which you don't see very often.
Yeah, I really need to watch the series just to get me hyped of the game because I've only heard good things about the show, so I'll definitely check it out. Next
They
up,
did a great job of bringing some attention to the chess community, and especially the women who
wow.
have a harder time than others in making it through the chess hierarchy.
Hmm.
I definitely recommend that show.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of Twitch people stream chess, and it's very interesting. It's very fun to watch actually, and I've got one of my best friends watches that, and yeah, if you're really into chess, like it's just good strategy, to watch. So next up, we've got Cut the Rope Daily. So this was announced during that video that we've seen. So that was a surprise to us, and if you're not familiar with Cut the Rope, it's actually a game that released like maybe more than 10 years ago. It was really fun. It was a really popular puzzle game back then. It was as popular as like Where's My Water and other things like that. Just very addicting. I remember doing 100% on the game back then because I really enjoyed it. But now we have Cut the Rope Daily. I'm really intrigued with the name, to be honest. And I'm looking forward to it. It's been a while, and I can't wait to get back into it. So, NG, have you ever played Cut the Rope back in the day?
See, I have. I did play the original game, and I'm
Wow.
not gonna lie. I think it's one of the best mobile games that was ever made. I also think it's weird that it was also on the Nintendo DS at one point, which is a little bit strange to me. But I will say, it's ironic that this was announced because literally, like the day before this was obviously announced, I was thinking like, for those who don't know, I've made several videos on my channel where I talk about like companies I feel like Netflix should acquire to obviously add more value to them in the long haul. And one was I wanted to do a video on was actually the developer of Cut the Rope in Zepto Lab.
Oh.
So I heard this news and I was thinking like, have they already acquired them? Like I was trying to like find out any information about like is Zepto Lab now owned by Netflix? And obviously there seems to be nothing. So I may end up making that video soon if no one else steals my idea now. I've just said it out loud. But I will say, I do think that it's a nice little addition because Cut the Rope is still quite a popular franchise. And obviously, it's one of the most well-known mobile games ever. It's on the same level as like Angry Birds, one as like the top well-known mobile game stuff. But obviously, we'll have to wait and see what comes from it. If this game is successful for Netflix, maybe they make it off the Zepto. Maybe they just license more games. You never know. Maybe we get on spin-off and on TV show. I'd watch that.
Yeah, like a cartoon or something. That'd be pretty cool. Sidlon, here it says, for the first time ever, Cut the Rope Daily offers a new puzzle to solve every day, available exclusively for Netflix members. So do you think that when you get the game, you'll only get a daily puzzle, or do you think that there's still going to be like a handful that you can use on the get-go?
We'll have to wait and see. I mean, I would hope that they would include like the classic levels to give you something to start with, and then also have a daily level. But yeah, I mean, Cut the Rope. I mean, it launched in 2010 when like the iPhone only came out in 2007. So like this was really early in mobile gaming that this kind of introduced such a classic touch interface for gaming, where like it was one of the early games where you like Angry Birds, where you're not wishing you had a joystick, because like dragging your finger to cut the rope and watch what happens and have the physics play out. It's the touch interface is the most intuitive way to play it. So it really changed mobile gaming for the better, and I'm glad Netflix is embracing it. Apple Arcade also has a version of Cut the Rope that has a lot of the classic levels.
Isn't that remastered the original game?
I believe so. I don't think it has daily levels. So this will be a nice new addition, and this was the one game in the big Netflix video that like we hadn't heard anything about. So it was a nice little surprise.
Yeah, they seem to be bringing a lot of these older mobile games, right? Which is kind of cool. They did their research. They're probably like what are were like the most popular games like about 10 to 15 years ago that that we lost or something like that, and then they probably approach and ask them, hey, do you want to revamp your game and make it available for I don't know how much money and
Yeah,
bring it in.
I will say there is one thing that Zepto does do that a lot of other mobile games do. That Zepto Lab, right, do actually update their games and their engines so they can run on more modern smartphones, which is something that companies like Rovio didn't do. So like you can't play a lot of the classic Angry Birds games on modern smartphones, but you can play like every classic cut rope game on any smartphone now because Zepto's gone back and they keep updating their old games to make sure that they are still up to standard so they can still run on the modern phones.
Oh no way! I'll need to download it then. Like I love playing these games out of hype before they release on Netflix games. So I'll download the original then and give it a try for sure.
Yeah. They're like one of the only ones that do that though, which is kind of crazy to me, especially
Yeah.
because they're such a small team and such a small studio compared to someone like Rovio, who's just been spent more like for like $800 million by Sega.
Wow. Yeah, like they have to make money to be able to keep it up to date like that. So it must be still doing pretty well.
Yeah.
So next up,
I think
oh yeah,
it's a really good example of a mass market game that like pretty much anybody, if you give it to your parents, they will probably enjoy this game. So like it's good for Netflix games to have a mix of like the serious games that'll attack each of us, and then also the games like this that pretty much anybody will
Yeah.
pick up
Yeah,
a phone or an iPad and have fun with.
yeah. Your 8-year-old grandma could play it. Your parents could play it. Your dog could play it. Your 2-year-old sister could play it. Anyone could play it.
Yeah.
Easy to figure out how to play
The
this game.
insect who ended up on your phone can play, and yeah.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh. So next up is Lego Legacy Heroes Unboxed, which I was pretty surprised about this one. Like, it's not a game that I heard about, but it seems to be very popular among the Lego players. It's still available at some region on Facebook Cloud Gaming. Of all places, this game is, I think it's only available there. But yeah, now we're gonna see it on Netflix games. And I think Sidlon made a little bit of research on this one. Can you talk a little bit of what this game is about?
I mean, I did look into it a little bit, but it seems like the gameplay is pretty similar to Dungeon Boss.
Okay.
I think there's a number of games that are like Dungeon Boss, or like Soda Dungeon, and Lego Legacy apparently, where you build up a collection of people, you get like 3 or 4 of them to have a run that can automatically play itself if you like, and try and build up your roster over time, optionally making the choices yourself or letting the game play for you. But it seems to have a pretty happy following on their Discord, and on Facebook Gaming, which I honestly didn't realize was a thing until this announcement.
Yeah, same here. What can you tell us about it, NG? I'm sure you have like a knowledge of a saint when it comes to Netflix games. So tell us more about it.
So I'm about as lost as you guys are. I didn't even realize Facebook had gaming, for example.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'd never even heard of this game. So I'm hearing it. I'm like, what's that? I haven't looked into it, obviously. Yeah, but obviously, I didn't even realize it was a thing until I saw what's on Netflix posted about it. I'm like,
Yeah.
wait, what? And then also looked into it. I was like, oh, it is whatever. But their post about it was them showing a screenshot of a minifigure saying like, hey, this game's coming. And I'm like, okay. And then obviously it was next day. I was like, oh, brilliant.
Yeah.
So I was just confused. I've never heard of this game until obviously like last week or two when it was announced and suddenly it's become Netflix games. And apparently it's been out for years, but obviously I'm not much of an avid mobile gamer besides Netflix, so I was just confused because I didn't know they made Lego games that weren't on console. So I was like, okay.
And Granite has a good point here. He says Facebook games were huge when it first came out with Farmville. Farmville was very popular. I do remember that.
That is true. I'd forgotten about it, but that was a big part of Facebook's growth, really, when like everybody's parents and grandparents all got onto Facebook so they could tend to their farms and then demand that every family member send you some corn.
Yeah. Oh, good times.
It's funny that because I do know a farm that I knew that it was owned by a company called Zynga, who was bought last year
Hmm.
by Take Two to like try and get bigger in mobile gaming,
Oh.
and it was like $12.7 billion for the acquisition. It was the biggest gaming acquisition of all time at the time. And a week later, Microsoft announced they were trying to buy Activision, which still hasn't gone through. So I'm really annoyed at.
So it's coming soon.
Look,
NG, do you have any prediction to when you think we're gonna see this game? This year, next year?
well, I do reckon since they keep saying it's coming soon, I reckon it will come sometime this year. Especially since we probably have about another 30 or so games that need to be released this year
Mhm.
from what Netflix has promised us. So I assume it'll be like during like the autumn, winter months, so around September to November time, in my opinion. Because obviously we only know of a few games that are coming through July and August now. So it'd be nice to sort of like get some little teasers like stuff later on in the year and stuff that's like coming say this month because well, besides Oxenfree 2, Queen's Gambit Chess and Cut the Rope Daily, we haven't exactly got an official date for any other game. Yeah, and obviously they've announced stuff like Crashlands 2, which is coming next year, like Monument Valley 1 and 2 are coming next year, but we don't know. Besides them, we don't really know much else of what is actually confirmed for this year and what's not. So hopefully we get a date for this year because obviously 30 plus games left. Give us some more titles when we only know 3 of them.
Yeah, they seem to be bringing their date like very early or late, from their release date. But so maybe we'll hear about when it's coming out, maybe a month or two beforehand. Now, speaking
Or
of,
hopefully we'll find out something this weekend.
yeah, who knows, right? We could get some Shadow Drop.
All I'm saying this weekend, they need to either release Shadow and Bone Destinies or Money Heist game. If so, I'm paying Netflix for another year.
Heck yeah! Here you go. You hear it here, Netflix. Like you'll get NG's money if you got these announced. Nice.
I'm not afraid me. Shut up and take my money.
There you go. Now the last game that they talked about was Paper Trail, and just to give you guys a little bit of news, me and Sidlon has talked to the devs, and it looks like Paper Trail was aimed to be released in 2023, but they're pushing it in Q1 2024. From what I've heard, so they have a lot of stuff to work on still, and we'll be seeing it next year instead. But it's very It's a very interesting game. It's a puzzle where you have to fold the map. The place that you're in to solve some puzzles, to bring your guy to a different place, to change some stuff. And I'm very interested in it. Like the art style looks amazing. The music is amazing, and I played the demo, which I'm going to be showing this Friday. But I'm really enjoying it. What about you guys? What are your thoughts on it? And I'll start with Sidlon this time.
Well, the game mechanic definitely reminds me of something called a fold apart that's on Switch and Apple Arcade. That's a similar fold the game environment to help your character navigate to somewhere new. I'd love to see another take on that kind of game. And I'm excited to see more. I'll have to check out that demo too. Was that on Steam?
Yeah, it was on Steam, and it's funny that you say that. Now it reminds me a little bit of Tearaway, which was a PS Vita exclusive game back then, but now it's ported on the consoles. But it's true, it has like this kind of like paper folding vibe, so it's cool. What about you, NG?
Well, obviously, I haven't checked out a demo or anything like that yet, but from what I've seen in the trailer, it looks like a great game. It looks like it's got some like fun mechanic where you got to like figure out how to like fold it to obviously continue to level. I think it's got a nice looking graphics, so I think that's another good thing as well because people don't want to play games that don't look good. So that's it looks like a fun little game, and I can't wait for it to come to Netflix.
Awesome. And there you have it. So yeah, look forward to that in Q1 2024. In other exciting news, we also got Crashlands 2 that got announced to be coming to Netflix games. I'm not sure if it's coming on other platforms, and maybe you guys can let me know. But they showed us a nice new trailer, and at the end it shows us that it's coming officially to Netflix games in 2024. Crashland 1, I'm gonna assume that Sidlon played that because I think it's on Apple Arcade.
It is.
Okay.
It is as Crashlands Plus. Like on Apple Arcade, they call it a plus game with a game that was already on mobile gets re-released in arcade. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's just like an action adventure where you travel around, explore, beat things, and use the pieces to craft and build new tools. It's a lot of fun, and I'm definitely looking forward to some more of that.
It looks like the kind of survival game that you see nowadays. That they brought up. And NG, are you into these type of games like Minecraft and all of that? Like, is that something that interests you?
See, it depends really what the game is, because obviously some of the most survival games I've enjoyed are obviously Minecraft and obviously the game Grounded. And I do admit, like, this is obviously not really that relevant, but it's continuing what Sidlon said. Like, the fact that Apple Arcade puts a plus at the end of these mobile games is annoying to me, because it reminds me of every streaming service at the minute where everyone after Netflix is like, my name insert plus. But then with this, obviously, I'm curious. Like, I'm curious. Does this mean like this game's event, like the original Crashlands, will that leave Apple Arcade as well, and then that comes to Netflix games as well? Like, that sets up for the whole franchise to be there. You never know. And obviously, survival games are great games to extend, obviously, the longevity of people playing on Netflix as well, because obviously, survival games and RPGs are designed to be longer, more winded experiences, so there's more content put into them. So it seems like it's got more potential than a lot of other games we've seen so far in Netflix games.
Yeah, and survival and crafting games. We don't. I don't think we have any of those games on Netflix yet. So I like that they bring some variety, right?
From what I know,
and one thing I should say about Crashlands is that it's a really approachable and like not that difficult one to get into. I mean, like Minecraft, if you don't know what you're doing, you can have a hard time surviving the first night. But like this is a game that like it ramps up easily. It's pretty casual, and if you die, it's not a big deal. I think you just warp back to your most recent base. But Crashland, it's a low stress exploration survival game where you largely focus on getting new kinds of materials from new monsters to try and build even more impressive tools that'll do something new to help battle the next creatures you might encounter. It's a lot of fun, and I definitely recommend trying out the original.
You heard it here first, guys. Crashlands is not like Minecraft, and Minecraft is just like being married.
Well, there you go.
You always survived the first night.
I love this the comparison. So, speaking of variety, we've also got a leak, and that was yesterday. Very exciting for me, and I'm going to tell you why in a sec. Let me share you this. So, yesterday, Netflix, the Netflix channels, they've put public a trailer of Samurai Showdown coming on Netflix games, but then just about like maybe 30 minutes to an hour later, they put the video on private. So they must have made the video public by mistake, and but now we know that Samurai Showdown is coming out on Netflix games at some point. Samurai Spirit if you're in Japan, but Samurai Showdown if you're anywhere else. Very exciting. It's a big game. It's like that came out on consoles, and it's look at these graphics. It's like super crazy, and I can't believe that they got this ported on Netflix. But for now, it's unofficial because it's a leak. It's leaked. But what do you guys think about that? Like, let's start with NG.
Well, I will say I will be disappointed with this game if Netflix doesn't have an exclusive DLC for their anime series is Yasuki, which is obviously a series based on the manga about the first Black Samurai, which I feel like that would be such a good little DLC to like put to the Netflix exclusive version of the game, because obviously Netflix made the anime, they've obviously funded it and whatnot and whatever. But besides that, I kind of feel like it's quite interesting because obviously we already have a fighting game on Netflix games in the form of Transformers Forged to Fight, so it's expanding the offerings. It's obviously expanding the offerings in that genre. So maybe if you're not a fan of being a robot and beating up other robots. You can be a samurai and fighting other samurais. You know, it's always good to have variety in these genres when it comes to like what's actually shown in these games and what the games actually are and the move sets and whatnot. So to me, I'm keeping an open mind. I have played some of the older Samurai Showdown games and they're not really my cup of tea. But I will try this one out either way because obviously it's a new game to try out and I'm paying for it. Might as well experience it.
Yeah, definitely. Samurai Showdown, for people who knows about fighting games, when you think about fighting games, you think about combining your combos and doing all making combos to do more damage. But Samurai Showdown
fatalities.
Fatalities. There you go. This one is very different because you barely have any combos and you focus on countering attacks. And so all you do is just wait for someone to attack. You got to be very patient. And if you counter the attack, it just do a bunch more damage. You can really change the table like really easily. And yesterday I was really invested in it. I watched like 3 hours of Samurai Showdown gameplay. I was like really into it. I love competitive games, and this is up my alley, and I'm really looking forward to it. What about you, Sidlon? Have you ever been into the fighting scene?
Not too much. I was excited when Street Fighter first came out in the arcades. Because back then it didn't have buttons. It had 2 big pads that you punched.
Oh, what?
You have to look up the original Street Fighter arcade game had a pad that you put 2 pads. You hit one to punch and another one to kick, and how hard you hit it determined what kind of move you did.
Wow.
But like since then, I've kind of played a little bit here and there, Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter. But I know Samurai Showdown was one of the first to really try and add sword fighting into that, and defensive strategies can really pay off. So it's a different kind of game that I'm looking forward to seeing what it is now. Like I think I played the original Samurai Showdown a long time ago, a little bit, but it's great to have more variety in fighting games. We should have more than one on Netflix.
Fun fact: Samurai Showdown is the first game that introduced the meter. So there's a meter down there, where when it fills up, you can do like a special attack. Samurai Showdown is the first fighting game that introduced that, and then every other game stole that idea from them. But yeah, there's some very interesting fact about Samurai Showdown. It's probably like one of the at least the top 5 most known fighting games out there, along with Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, King of Fighter, and all of this nice, amount of games. So, very exciting. Looking forward to see it. I think it's probably going to be announced in Tudum. So this is something that actually we should talk about right now. So let me switch to that. So on June 17, Netflix Tudum is happening. And this is a big event where they announce, if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, Sidlon, but it's an event where they announce new shows, new movies, and nowadays they announce also new games. Is that correct?
That is my guess. I wasn't familiar with Tudum before this year.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Last year, Apple or Netflix did most of their announcements at Summer Game Fest, which was what happened last week this year, and Netflix didn't really announce any games at this time around. So I think they were saving them for this event, because Summer Games Fest was like all of gaming, but this is a Netflix-specific event. I'm guessing this is where any number of things they might want to announce may show up this weekend. And Samurai Showdown was probably an accidental early peek at what's coming.
Yeah. And you know what? I think that's a pin from La Casa de Papel, if I'm not mistaken. So that's kind of like a nice tease. But NG, you talked about Tudum before, so I think you're very excited. You've got some predictions, right? Like you mentioned, you'd like to see Shadows and Bones and all this stuff.
Yeah, and because the reason I say that is because if you actually look at like some of the stuff that they've announced is going to be at the show, there's 45 plus titles that are going to be Tudum. 33 of them were actually announced, and 2 of them were Shadow and Bone and Money Heist. So to me, it's logical that they've already announced the game theory, they announced the spin-off of the show, but like we know the games are in development, but like we need the dates, because especially with Money Heist, right? Money Heist is in a weird position at the minute because it was inspired by something called Payday. Payday is obviously a co-op game where you obviously rob banks and whatnot. Well, Payday 3 is coming this year, so
Oh.
if they don't release Money Heist soon, well, they're going to lose the market to Payday 3. But then with Shadow and Bone Destinies, if they don't release that this year, well, we have no idea if it's getting released for a season or anything like that. So it may be quite hard to see like whether or not there's still interest in Shadow and Bone. And the best way to do that, in my opinion, is to release the game and see how the game performs compared to other games on your service.
Yeah, that's very true. So hopefully, yeah, they bring in the hype and talk about Money Heist, aka La Casa de Papel, and hopefully we'll hear some more. Granite mentioned I've never heard of Netflix Tudum. So Tudum is kind of like the news section of Netflix. This is where they announce and it's not just like an event like that. They have like a blog where they just talk about new stuff coming and all that. Tudum is always like an interesting thing to follow because they always have like very exciting news about Netflix in general. Not always about games, but just about everything that they have.
Basically, Tudum was designed to be Netflix's equivalent to D23, which is Disney's fan event, and basically Tudum is supposed to be Netflix. Is that their panel every year where they announce tons of new stuff of shows, movies, whatever. But when it comes to Tudum, they started doing it. I think it was 2021, as a way to like build hype for their brand. Like, hey, Netflix is everywhere. Netflix has all this stuff coming. Make sure you subscribe to Netflix. But to me, it's just a big marketing ploy to try and get people to subscribe and check out their other content. But it is quite interesting to see that they're following Disney's footsteps. And I would be surprised to see what else is like not currently being announced to be at Tudum, but shows its head at Tudum. I'm hoping, for instance, myself personally, I'm hoping that we get an announcement of an acquisition. It doesn't have to be a gaming acquisition, but I have my heart set on Netflix buying Dr. Seuss Enterprises just because I want them to have Dr. Seuss and make Dr. Seuss films. I think Dr. Seuss is like one of the best ones they could have rolled down. Dr. Seuss, please.
Let's hope so. Man, that earring is really bothering me. So, it has a chess piece, so that has to be Queen's Gambit. And then this has to be Money Heist, that guy there. But then there's this hand, this Frankenstein hand. I wonder what this is. I wonder what they'll
Wednesday.
Wednesday? Is that a show or is that a game?
Oh yeah, no, that
yeah.
That's
That's
Uncle.
the hand from Wednesday. It's the
Oh,
uncle.
from Adam's Family. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. Now I'm really intrigued. I can't wait. Like in 3 days, we're gonna be seeing that. Grant also says we need more Alice in Borderlands. So I think you're familiar with that, NG, if I'm not mistaken. You've talked about that before.
Yeah. It's a Korean TV show. It's interesting because I'm not actually sure if Netflix owns the show or if it's one that they've licensed. For those who don't know, Netflix originals aren't always owned by Netflix. They tend to just license a load of stuff and just slap their logo on. But with this one, obviously, it'd be interesting to see if they actually do continue this show and if they have the rights to it to like keep making more episodes. Plus, since it's like a post-apocalyptic survival sort of show, I hope that they'll eventually release a game for it if they have the rights to it, because I think that'd be nice little tie-in to the Netflix brand. But
Yeah, exactly. All right, so yeah, this is Tudum. Keep a lookout. I mean, it's the biggest event of Netflix, mostly Geek Week and Netflix Tudum. They're pretty big, so check it out. Now in news, the next two news are actually a bummer. It's really sad news. So the first one we'd like to talk about is Bonus XP. So Bonus XP is the people who created Stranger Things 1984, the game, and Stranger Things 2. And they have an announcement here saying, we have begun the difficult process of ceasing operation at Bonus XP. We have enjoyed making games for you over the last 11 years. Our focus is on helping our team find their next opportunities. If you are looking for great game talent, please contact us at info@bonusxp. So Bonus XP is ceasing operations, and we won't be seeing other games with them. They did some really quality games, and it's unfortunate. So, Sidlon, have you played the any of the games from Bonus XP?
Yeah, no, I mean that's now called Stranger Things 1984. Was originally Stranger Things the game in 2017,
Yeah.
and it was one of my favorite mobile games that year. I love that take on the Stranger Things story, and it and Stranger Things 3 is an evolution of that.
Mhm.
I would have loved to see another bonus XP style game for the newer Stranger Things seasons, but from all the news, it sounds like Netflix is looking more at um, bigger budget and VR games based on the franchise, and they're probably not looking for another SNES style one. But it's a shame, but I'm sure those those developers won't have too much trouble finding new jobs because they're clearly skilled.
Good portfolio, and it's too bad that Netflix didn't see the potential to maybe hire them for more games. Or and Angie, do you think that maybe this is a missed opportunity for them to completely buy Bonus XP? Maybe.
Yeah, I kind of feel like this is like Netflix should step in, and if they can't acquire bonus XP, at least like hire just as many of the devs as they can to put
Yeah.
out new studios or set up a new studio within Netflix for them. Obviously, bonus XP is based in California, if I'm not mistaken, and Netflix does have a studio in California, so maybe Netflix could work with bonus XP to either get a load of these devs new jobs at Netflix, or to just fully acquire bonus XP to have them as even if they're not a studio, as like a label that they can release their games under.
Mhm.
Because it's pretty depressing. Because obviously, bonus XP has been one of the supporters of Netflix games from day one. They helped obviously develop two of the first five launch games and whatnot. But obviously, the fact that they're shut down is quite disheartening and quite worrying, because we're at the point in the gaming industry is in a recession at the minute, where basically so many studios are having staff laid off or closing down. Companies like EA and Take-Two are closing down studios and firing people. Companies like Embracer's just announced a huge restructuring program, which
Yes.
will see them
Mhm.
reduce their headcount and whatnot. So it's not looking good for some of the major publishers. I mean, Microsoft laid off 10,000 employees a few months ago. Obviously, they weren't all Xbox people, but obviously 10,000 people across the whole of them were laid off. And not even just game companies, but tech companies in general, like Google, Amazon, they've all been laying off tens of thousands of staff members. So it's just kind of daunting that this is happening. And obviously, it'd be nice if Netflix could step up and obviously like help here.
Yeah.
But then you got a question like, how well is Netflix's finances compared to a company like, say, Microsoft? And if Microsoft has to lay off employees, how can Netflix keep them going?
And you said like help, but not just help them. Like, I mean, these are like very talented people, like Sidlon says. Like, it's not just helping them; it's just recruiting some really good talent here, and get them into the blue studio that now we call it the AAA studio. Get them in there, and that would be amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
and Netflix clearly has a lot of talented headhunters looking for good developers that they keep recruiting into Netflix's game studios. So I wouldn't be surprised if a good chunk of Bonus XP's staff might have already been given offers by the time this announcement came out, because Netflix already knows that they did a great job on games that Netflix had them make, the Stranger Things games. So I, I'll bet there a good number of them probably show up in the other indie studios and within Netflix.
Yeah, let's hope so. And yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised either. Maybe we'll see some people's portfolio and see like, hey, I worked in Bonus XP, and it'll be nice to see that. The other news that we have, and it's a news from today actually. So Dungeon Boss, they released Dungeon Boss Respawn 2 weeks ago, I think. And
May 31st, so
there
that
you
was
go.
about 2 weeks ago.
There you go. And they kept their Dungeon Boss free to play game in the store, but today we're learning that on July 27th they'll completely seize the free to play version of Dungeon Boss. So everybody will have to switch to the Netflix games version, so they'll have to subscribe and get in there. I haven't had a chance to see what people were saying in the Discord, but I heard that it's pretty nasty. I don't know who wants to start first, but I'm kind of curious to see what people have been thinking about that.
It's got to be tough to hear as a Dungeon Boss fan, because people have been playing this game for years, and unfortunately, the game they loved is going away and replaced with a new version under Netflix. It's good that the developer was able to give people a jump start. If you have Netflix, they gave you a code in the old game that you plug into the new game and unlock all the characters, basically. So that you could just focus on leveling them up. So they don't come in empty-handed to the new game, but they still have to get a Netflix subscription, which is going to be hard for some people to take. But Netflix has a lot of good content that hopefully they'll see that it's worth at least giving it a try to keep playing Dungeon Boss with everything else.
Yep. NG, what do you think?
Well, I actually read some of the comments of some of the stuff that people were saying about this, and to be honest, people seem either confused or they're just like mad at Netflix for this. And it's one of the things where it's like, well, this was going to happen eventually anyway. It's kind of obvious, like when Netflix was getting into gaming, and we saw Netflix acquire the studio behind Dungeon Boss Fight Entertainment. We all knew that they were gonna eventually want to bring their games to their own service. And don't be funny, but I kind of feel like the new version of Dungeon Boss Respawn is probably a lot better for gamers, because obviously it's free of the microtransactions, it's free of all that sort of stuff. But people obviously will have the problem of, oh, I've got to pay a subscription in order to access this. And I understand that's a critical point of a lot of people, but a lot of people do prefer subscription-based content, because obviously that way, you don't got to worry about like, am I paying if this isn't worth my time? You can just basically try it before you buy. And that's sort of why a lot of streaming services in general across all forms of media have started to do really well. And that's why you hear about Spotify, Game Pass, Netflix, Disney Plus, all this sort of stuff doing really well because of what they offer, and what people are paying for because they want that content, and that content that they've got is of value to them. But then when it comes to obviously the free-to-play version, they've already disabled the microtransactions and whatnot. But some of the comments I've seen in the replies include like, does this mean we're not getting any more updates? And it's sort of like, well, they've just posted that this game shut down. Of course you're not going to get any more updates. Like, I understand some people don't understand like how things are worded by a lot of people who are like, professional or not, who word things very vaguely and very, I want to say, politically, when they act like they're like a politician and they're trying to like make it seem like it's less bad than it is. But in this situation, like Dungeon Boss Respawn still exists, and to be fair, you can get a Netflix subscription. At least in the UK, it's like £5 for the cheapest tier, which is the ad tier. Now, all the games are ad free. You haven't actually got to watch any ads. But like, I think the fact that you have to now pay for a subscription to access it is going to upset a lot of people who just don't want that and want to go back to the days where, I get a free-to-play game, I spend money in game, and that's how it works. But we're moving away from that way of the industry. We're also moving away from buy once and own. That's how gaming kind of is transitioning now, thanks to companies like Microsoft, Nintendo, and Netflix.
Yeah, and I mean, you took the word out of my mouth. Like, let's be honest. Everybody who knows Netflix, we all knew that Dungeon Boss was going to be removed, because there's no reason for Netflix to keep that active, because they want people to go on Netflix. They want them to spend the money on that subscription. But for the people who didn't know, I mean, it's really unfortunate. It's been a game they've been playing for like 8 years, and it's a bummer that they have to restart. But it is what it is, right? Like, Netflix bought the company, and yeah.
And also, I mean, I think this is a game that really relies on a lot of server infrastructure to maintain the leaderboards and the multiplayer interactions. So, like, it would be a lot to ask Netflix to keep maintaining 2 separate backends to support the 2 versions of the game. It made sense that they would eventually have to just consolidate into the Netflix one. Unfortunate, but for the players, but hopefully a lot of them will migrate.
Yeah.
See, I will say with this, I've noticed that there seems to be a bigger backlash to Netflix for this than there was with Stranger Things Puzzle Tale stuff. But I kind of feel like the reason behind that is because despite Netflix owning the studios behind both games and owning both games, Dungeon Boss was obviously an original IP. It was something that Netflix didn't originally owned. It wasn't based on anything that Netflix owned. So when now that game's getting pulled off of the free Play stores, now you've got to pay Netflix in order to use it or play it. It's different in a lot of people's eyes than when they took down Stranger Things Puzzle Tales because they wanted to put that on Netflix games because everyone was like, oh, that's Stranger Things, like, that makes sense. Here, though, because Dungeon Boss isn't tied to an existing Netflix franchise, suddenly it's like, oh, well, you're stealing our game away from us. We've spent all this time playing it. And it is what it is. But, like, I've noticed that there's such a big difference between those two games getting delisted by Netflix, despite them being essentially the same situation.
Good point. Very good point. But yeah, I mean, you know, if the situation happens again, they're probably gonna do the same thing. So everybody, you know, maybe next time it happens, we can try to like let the people know that, you know, just keep in mind that it can happen, so they can be ready for it at the very least.
Yeah.
So the last news we have for today, we're doing good time. I thought it was going to take longer than that, but we did pretty good. So the last thing we have here is Black Voices in Gaming. They got a partnership with Netflix Games. So it says, it's official. We are partnering with our friends at Netflix Games on developing a prototype mobile game accelerator. So now accepting application June 13th to 30th. Now, when I saw this, I was super confused, and you'll see that in the Netflix Gamers Discord. But I've learned from my good friend Dead Alive that what is a mobile game accelerator. So what an accelerator is basically people can go there and try to get fundings to start a new company or like a new idea or something like that. So basically, Netflix Games will be funding a group of 4 studios actually to accelerate their game. So they'll have a funding to pitch in their game to people, and you know, all of this fun stuff. So if I click on the application, they have a little bit more information here. It says the 2023 Experience Excellence Accelerator, powered by Netflix Games, is a 3-month program that combines industry education, networking, and funding for Black game developers with a mobile game concept. So 4 teams will each be awarded 2K stipend. I'm not sure what that is, but to support the development.
20K, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, 20,000 is a good amount to help people develop a prototype.
Yeah. And then they can pitch it to investors, platform holders, and first party and publishers. So very cool. I hope that if they do get you know, success in their games, that they get their games on Netflix Games, because you know, it's a good opportunity to do that. So you know, it's nice that Netflix Games is going into the diversity and minority, you know, of the Black voices in gaming, and I like that. I hope that they do that to a lot more things. And
see, I will say this actually emulates something they did earlier this year, because I believe it was back in March or April. They actually applied something called Wings. Wings was basically a I think it's like this group where basically they were helping like women and non-binary people, I believe it was, and LGBTQ people get a voice in gaming. So if that is, if I'm remembering correctly, Netflix has done something like this before as well. So it's just them continuing to show that they do want diverse voices in gaming, because what people need to remember is obviously back when gaming first started, most of the game programmers was just like 20-year-old white men, and now obviously we're in a new era where anyone can make their own game. You know, no matter your race, religion, sexuality, where you're from, you can make your own game. So it's just good to see Netflix is now obviously investing more in minority stories and just letting them make whatever they want, basically.
Yeah, and you know, Netflix in general is no stranger to minority and diversity. A lot of their original shows encourage that, and we're seeing it in the games. We're seeing it everywhere. Would you agree with that, Sidlon?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Netflix has done a great job with their TV programming of bringing in content from all around the world and like all different kinds of people. And I'm glad they're going to put some focus into getting lots of different kinds of voices, giving us interesting adventure games on the mobile platform. Um, I look forward to seeing any titles that come out of this program. Hopefully, we'll get some really unique ideas
Yeah.
and describe
And
people's way of life that is different from my own, which is always good to learn more.
yeah, and if they don't come out on Netflix games, me and NJ, we're gonna go at the Netflix office and we're gonna punch a few people. That's all I'm gonna say. So,
Hey, I'm not. Hey, hang on a minute. I didn't sign up for this unless it was in my contract. Unless it was in my contract when you asked me to do the show, in which case I probably agreed to it because I didn't read the contract that well. But I digress.
fine. I'll bring Sidlon then. He got some good punching also.
No, bring me as well. I want to join in. I want to
Awesome.
meet some executives.
You don't want to cross the Netflix gamers.
No. Yeah, exactly.
Fun.
We're a tough bunch of people. So guys, we made it through all the news. Very exciting. I think it was one of the best week of the year so far. It'll probably slow down a little bit after Tadum. I think Tadum is gonna bring us some very cool stuff also. So that's gonna be pretty fun. But yeah, hopefully everyone enjoyed the show. We'll be back every week, every Wednesday from 5:30 to 6:30. So keep a lookout if you want to keep in with the latest Netflix games news. So is there anything else you'd like to say, Netflix gamer, before we leave?
Yeah, make sure you do check out these games. Make sure it's getting hot out there, guys. Make sure you drink plenty of water, aqua, all that good stuff. And make sure you subscribe to NinjaGoX, and obviously if you feel a little bit cheeky, throw me a sub as well. Trying to get 200 subs, just saying. But then obviously with Netflix games, I also want to address this. Obviously, we want anyone who's watching, anyone who's enjoys Netflix games and Netflix games content, to start making content on Netflix games. We want to build this community, build it out. So if you want to make gameplay videos where you're playing Octo 3 on your phone, do it. Do it. Tag one of us. We'll share it for you. We'll share it on social media for you. We want to build a community, so make sure you do make your own content around Netflix games, because then we can all grow the community and grow together.
I love that.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
We live in a world now where everyone from your phone has the ability to record a video, put it on YouTube, and let the whole world know how you feel about Netflix games or anything else. So it's a good chance to make your voice heard and let us know in the Discord or Reddit, and we'll help make sure you get more eyeballs on anything you have to say.
Yeah, all three of us, we're very hungry for Netflix games content, so we will definitely watch whatever you put in there. Even if it's just you sitting on the table talking about it, we'll just listen and be super passionate about what you say. So
yeah.
So yeah, well, thank you very much, everyone, for joining in, and we'll see each other, and we'll see everybody who's listening next week. Have a good one, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Later.